of negative decline. In 2013, which was last year, our growth rate was 4.3%. In 2014, this year, the revised projected growth rate is now 3.1%. So if we were to draw a graph, you actually see a downward plateau, a sharp downward plateau. That means that for at least 3 years, we've had a negative declines. And put how many quarters are?
You have 30 seconds, sorry, Honorable.
So that means that we're in a recession. That means that we're in a recession. And to observe the signs of a recession, you look at the following. Number one, you look at the levels of your inflation. And during this year, we've had persistent disinflation, persistent decline in the month-on-month inflation. Now, because all Zimbabweans have lived in a hyperinflation era, you actually think that the reduction of prices is positive. It's not positive, because this is caused by the fact that we don't have money, we don't have aggregate demand, we are not spending. And because we are not spending, there's actually disinflation. But what happens in a disinflationary era is that disinflation kills businesses, and I will explain why.
Honorable BT, I must stop you there because I must be fair to everyone else. We will ask you questions and you can pick up on that.
Okay, just complete this point.
Okay, finish the point. Then we'll...
In a disinflationary era, the danger is this: the income of businesses collapses because people don't have aggregate demand. However, there is one thing that refuses to go down, which is the capped cost of wages. You can't reduce someone's salary who has been earning $500 and making $200. So while the income of the business is reducing, there is wage resistance. So the net result is that a disinflationary era is actually an automatic result for the closure of businesses. And we have seen the growth of companies closing down. The point I want to make is that the Minister Chinamasa doesn't actually understand that we are in a recession, which is U-shaped, a U-shaped recession, which if you don't control it is actually going to lead to a depression. And Zimbabwe is prone to cyclical cycles of depression. You recall that between 1997 and 2008, we actually had a depression that caused this economy 60% of it from 1997 to 2008. Mm-hmm. Now we are entering another recession, which is going to be a depression. So what Chinamasa needed to do is to sit and say, how do I actually get out of this recession, which can exacerbate into a depression? Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
We will ask you a bit later what you would have done to get out of this depression. If you can hand over the microphone to your counterpart there, Honorable Tapiwa Mashakade, just to let you know that we did afford you 8.5 minutes, so purely because of fairness, I must then allow our other speakers the same amount of time.
Thank you very much. I think to begin with, let us understand the purpose of a midterm fiscal policy statement. Does the minister simply present a midterm policy statement for the sake of it? No. What was the objective of the midterm fiscal policy statement? Basically, there are three objectives which a fiscal policy statement should address. In the context of where we are, his statement was supposed to stimulate the economy. We've just heard from Wabiti that the economy is in a recession. It's not only in a recession, it's in a deflation. Deflation meaning that too much or too many goods are chasing few dollars. That's deflation. So a combination of deflation and recession is a serious problem. So you'd expect a fiscal policy statement to stimulate the economy. That's point number one. And I submit that the statement did not inspire or stimulate the economy. The second objective of the fiscal policy statement is to raise revenue. This policy statement tried to raise revenue, but in a very ludicrous manner. How do you tax airtime? Kuchaka, Mari, Nedem. You tax airtime, you raise duty on motor vehicles, you put tax on blankets, not maduve, and all those ridiculous revenue-raising measures. So, the question is, are those measures going to raise revenue for the state? They are not going to do anything to the state in terms of raising revenue. The third objective of fiscal policy is to restore macroeconomic stability. Do you think that statement will restore macroeconomic stability? Not at all. In my view, that statement does not capture the mood or the national sentiment, the problems that this country is facing. The budget statement scattered the real issues. And which are the real issues, in my view? Electricity cuts, food shortage, housing crisis in the country, civil servants salary increases. November is coming, civil servants bonuses, jobs. Those are the people issues that this statement was supposed to address. And what did it do? It simply went into metrics. We had numbers being thrown here and there, which do not mean anything. For example, the minister admits that up to June this year, our trade balance is 1.8 billion, which is a trade deficit. But what are you going to do about that trade deficit? There are no clear-cut prescriptions to deal with the trade imbalance. The minister admits that total national debt is 8.8 billion United States dollars. What are you going to do about it? What are they going to do about domestic debt? You know, since July last year, government has been incurring a budget deficit of $100 million a month. $100 million a month budget deficit. How is government going to fill that hole? Those questions remain unanswered. The banking sector. Since July last year, 6 banks have folded. Right now, out of the 18 banks remaining, 11 are under threat. So how does that policy synchronize with the monetary policy statement? There's no clue to that. The other thing I want to highlight is the Reserve Bank data assumption bill. The policy says government is going to take over the 2.4 billion Reserve Bank debt. So government is going to clean the balance sheet of the Reserve Bank. But ironically, in the monetary policy statement, the same government wants to take over 700 million debt from non-performing loans. So you are bailing and you are incurring another debt. So those are the kind of examples of policy inconsistencies that is characterizing this government. And one typical example as I've given you is this data assumption bill. Now I come to the measures that were announced. You see, as I said, the policy should have come up with measures to stimulate the economy. Now, just listen to some of the measures which the minister pronounced. Support for agriculture. Is that a measure? Support for domestic industry. Value addition, buy Zimbabwe. Lines of credit, doing business. These are manifestos. We have had them before. There's no clear strategy. How are you going to stimulate the economy? How are you going to promote supply-side response to make sure that there's production in the economy? Industry is collapsing and there are no clear-cut measures. There's no oomph in the measures that the minister pronounced. So it is mere rhetoric. Mind you, Zimasset needs 27 billion to sustain the economy, and you come up with all these measures without the necessary strengthening of the revenues. So to me, the fiscal policy statement is mere posturing. It's a ritual, and government will not do anything because it is broke. You need a government which is well funded, which has the necessary cash flow to implement all those measures to stabilize the economy. Now, what is the nature of the problem? The nature of the problem, ladies and gentlemen, is not economic. The nature of the problem in this country is political. It is about confidence. You need confidence to restore confidence in the economy. Right now, 1 billion has left the country as capital flight since the elections. It is about restoring production. It is about promoting foreign direct investment. We need FDI in agriculture, in mining, in manufacturing, to create jobs. Without FDI, this economy will not go anywhere. So the model upon which the fiscal policy statement was pronounced is wrong because it excludes FDI. What is the solution? The solution, in my view, is that we need reforms, political and economic reforms, and we need national convergence. All stakeholders, academics, political parties, we need national convergence to rescue this economy. Otherwise, we don't deposit faith in mid-term policy statements or in annual budget statements. They mean nothing. Because the fundamentals have not been addressed. It is a matter of confidence affecting the economy.
30 seconds.
In conclusion, I want to say that the government has no clue as to what to do with this economy. It's business as usual when Rome is burning. I don't think the government really appreciates the depth of the crisis. The economy is on its knees. It needs radical, serious measures to turn around the situation. And ZANU-PF, a ZANU-PF government, which has authored the same problems, cannot possibly rescue the economy through mid-term policy fiscal statements.
Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Putting that together to Honorable Dr. Tapio Mashakada.